Hare Krishna, Namaste. Chapter 14 is entitled as Gunatraya Vibhaha Yoga, Sloka 8. Tamas ajñāna-jaṁ viddhi, mohanaṁ sarva-dehinām, pramādālasya-nidrābhis, nibadhnāti Bharata. After explaining about Sattva Guna in 6th sloka, Rajoguna in 7th sloka, in the current sloka, that is 8th sloka, Krishna explains how Tamoguna controls the living entities. Let's learn the meaning of the sloka. Tamas too, but the mode of ignorance, tamas, however, ajñāna-jaṁ, born of false knowledge due to one's sin, sarva-dehinām, of all embodied beings, mohanaṁ, the delusion, as the cause of false knowledge, viddhi, know, Bharata, O sign of the Bharata lineage, that tamas, which is dangerous, leads on to pramāda, inattentiveness, ālasya, indolence, nidrābhis, sleep. Through these, nibadhnāti, binds. O Arjuna, descendant of Bharata lineage, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities that results in lack of attention, laziness, and sleep. Through these, the living entities are conditioned, bound into this samsara. From the previous slokas, we learned from Sattva-guna one gets Sukha Sangam and Jnana Sangam, due to which one performs karma, therefore one gets binds into the samsara. Next we learned from Rajoguna one gets Karma Sangam and gets bound to the samsara. Over here as well, Krishna will explain the reasons by which one gets binds into the samsara through tamoguna. But in addition to what has been explained for sattva guna and rajoguna, over here there is a mention of where the quality of tamas is born from, whereas there is no mention of such thing for sattva guna and rajoguna. There is a mention of tu, tamas tu. This term tu indicates distinct difference of this tamoguna, particularly from the other two gunas, sattva-guna and rajoguna. Tamas tu means but, that is to say, we can escape from sattva-guna and rajoguna, but not from tamoguna. It is very difficult. That's why tu is referred here. And also it means that this is the one, this guna is the one which needs to be avoided when we prioritize among these three gunas. Tamas ajñāna-jaṁ viddhi. Ajñāna-jaṁ viddhi. Jnanam means right perception of things as they supposed to be understood. When I see a horse, my knowledge reveals it is a horse. Whereas ajñānam is contrary knowledge, which is opposite to jnanam. That is what called as ajñānam. the knowledge that shows things in contradiction are called ajñāna-jaṁ. I see a horse and think that to be a donkey. So, mistaking perception of horse as donkey and donkey as horse, etc. This is called as viparita jnana, which differs from the actual knowledge. Knowledge is that which reveals the truth of things. Ajñāna is that which creates an opposite effect, a contrary view of the truth. This kind of false knowledge is born of ignorance, that is tamas, which leads one to do wrong action. And this is what mentioned as mohanaṁ, delusion, that which creates opposing knowledge to the dharma. That is, understanding dharma to be adharma and adharma to be dharma. And this delusion further makes one to see each and everything differently from its actuality. And that ends up in reflecting three characters. They are pramādālasya-nidrābhis. Pramāda means lack of attention, carelessness. Alasya means laziness. Nidra means sleep. Pramāda, inattentiveness, which causes one to neglect their actual duty, work, and diverts one to do something differently. That is, whatever needs to be done, whatever is important that is prescribed is put off and doing something which is not prescribed, which is not that important. This is because of the tamoguna, which triggers to do such activities. A careless tendency to perform action which should not be done, which is because of ajñānam, an opposing or contrary knowledge to the actual knowledge. When the scriptures instructs us to do certain things, we question, we argue, we oppose to do that. Why should I do this? And not only opposing and start doing things which is contrary to what's been prescribed. When the scripture says, for example, fast on Ekadeshi, or do not eat certain things on regular basis, or especially on Ekadeshis, one doesn't care for it. This is all called pramāda, carelessness, lack of attention. Another symptom of it is that people are so busy focusing their lives on something that may not be urgent or important. Or according to them, the urgent and important tasks are totally different than what has been prescribed in the Shastra. Srila Prabhupada gives an example on this context. Everyone can see his grandfather has died, and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die. So death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit, that is, the Atma. This is due to pramāda. And this pramāda makes it hard for one to advance in spiritual understanding, as it leads to the second item, which is alasya, meaning laziness, ajñāna-jaṁ. That is, one doesn't even start the karma that they are supposed to do. For example, one may say that I heard someone say Ekadeshi this week is on Wednesday, whereas someone else said it is actually on Thursday. So there are so many differences of opinion when the actual Ekadeshi is. Therefore, I've decided it's better not to fast on Ekadeshi. This is called ajñāna-jaṁ, a tendency to not start the activity. So the lazy person will not perform any work at the due time. This will even prevent one from engaging in an useful action. Useful action for oneself will also be prevented. Another example that can help here is when you say to someone, please chant at least one round of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day, and gradually increase your rounds and then come to 16 rounds every day. So the person who is in Tamoguna will ask a question, 16 rounds every day? That is a lot of rounds. Somehow or the other, I start one and gradually increase and then get to 16 rounds. And what in case if I cannot continue doing 16 rounds after that? What in case if I am unable to keep up the 16 round commitment on certain days? What in case if I fall sick and I am not able to do the 16 rounds? And also, we just learned that one has to fast on Ekadeshi. Fasting means I will become weak. I won't be able to do much activities. Therefore, on those days, I won't be able to chant nicely. Moreover, there are so many things has been said how to chant, how not to chant, how one has to be attentive in chanting. There are a lot of things when it comes to chanting. I think, therefore, it's better just not chant. Why to unnecessarily get into chanting and create opposite effects, some sinful reaction? So best to not chant, to be in safer side. This characteristic is called alasya, which is caused by tamoguna. So we have seen pramāda, inattentiveness, alasya, laziness, and the third one is nidra, sleep. When it comes to sleep, most of the people wrongly understand sleep itself something not good for spirituality and think one has to become like Arjuna, Gudakesha, one who has conquered sleep. So there's a wrong notion even among those who are practicing spirituality, thinking that sleep to be fully tamoguna. If it is in tamoguna, then Krishna would not recommend sleep in the 6th chapter. In the 6th chapter, 17th sloka, Krishna said, Yukta swapnava bodhasya, that one should sleep in a regulated fashion. That second part is very important. Like how one must eat, but in a regulated fashion. One must exercise, again in a regulated fashion. We have learned this in 6th chapter, 16th sloka and 17th sloka, that one must not eat too much or too less. One should not sleep too much or too less. Therefore, sleep itself not bad, but how much time is spent on that makes it whether it is a recommended sleep or not. Not sleeping is not advised. Sleeping less is not advised. Sleeping too much is not advised. And sleeping during wrong times are also not advised. And of course, sleeping most of the time, whether walking, sitting, doing things, is certainly not recommended at all. That's height of tamoguna. Sleep in a state where the senses of the body are tired from work, no actions, and they are in rest. When we say senses, those are the external senses, ear, eye, etc., which doesn't do their regular activity. This state of sleep is known as dream state, swapa. In this state, the mind is still active. When the mind also ceases to function, this stage of sleep is known as deep sleep, sushupti. There is no dream. So both these stages, whether it is swapa or sushupti, are caused due to one performing their duty, karma, work. But sleep due to tamoguna is not due to tiredness. It is naturally comes for such people who are affected by tamoguna. The sleep comes all the time, anytime, wrong time, like that. A person who is too fond of sleep will obviously do nothing, because all he does is just sleep. Therefore, he is doing sinful activity. By not doing what he is supposed to do, he just sleeps. Therefore, this will lead him into repeated birth. It is said by Manu Bhagavan that akurvan vihitan karma nidhitancha samacharan pratajamcha indriyarteshu prayatesha naraha. That is, this person in tamoguna does not do things that's prescribed in the scriptures. That's number one. Number two, does things which is prohibited by the scriptures. And number three, he keeps engaging in satisfying his senses. Because of these three, that person for entirety of his life should be performing atonement for such activity of not doing what prescribed in the scriptures and doing things which is prohibited in the scriptures, and always trying to constantly engage in satisfying his senses. They have to find and do prayachit. But the problem is, not many know how to do prayachitta. One has to figure out what prayachitta need to be done for certain sin. There are lot of prayachitta. So researching and putting time to figure out the prayachitta, right prayachitta, to nullify one's reaction of their sinful action, it is rather better to try to understand what is the right thing to do as prescribed in the Shastra and follow the Dharma. That would be much easier than trying to figure out the prayachitta. So, pramādālasya-nidrābhis are three things which is caused by the tamoguna, making one to not do right things on the right time because of any of these three. Also, because of these three, one does things on a wrong time, untimely period. Therefore, one gets sin for not doing things in the right kala and doing things on a akala. So in this way, one gets bad karma to experience the effect of that bad karma, one will take rebirth. As they take birth due to mohanaṁ, delusion, that which creates the opposing knowledge to the dharma, will lead one to pramāda, inattentiveness, ālasya, laziness, nidra, sleep. As a result of these things, due to the action that they perform, they get a reaction. Due to that reaction, they take birth, and this cycle keeps repeating, which means one gets completely entangled into the samsara. This is how tamoguna binds the living entity in this world. In the next verse, Krishna states the prominent feature of each of the gunas. As there are a lot of things discussed in these 3 verses, Krishna is going to give, out of all this that we discussed, what is prominent in sattva guna, what is prominent in rajoguna, what is prominent in tamoguna, through which they bind the selves to samsara. Tamas ajñāna-jaṁ viddhi, mohanaṁ sarva-dehinām, pramādālasya-nidrābhis, nibadhnāti Bharata. Namaste. Hare Krishna.